got the idea that we could do the High Coast Trail.
That's nice. Yeah. That gives you something.
We could describe 9,000 years of history through a 126K trail. Instead of concentrating on where are we on this trail, we could look at our GPS and see, okay, we're so and so many meters above the sea, and we could ask the question, when are we? And then all of a sudden this history just sort of comes to life.
And there's hardly anywhere else in Europe where you'll find a Stone Age village that is practically undisturbed. But I mean, in Norrland you can actually stand in the middle of a village and you can see the houses and the hearths and the distribution of tools.
This is rather elaborate, and some of them even more elaborate. They're called fem stenarör.
And no one has been there since it was abandoned maybe 5 or 6 or 7,000 years ago. So when you follow this trail, you're actually seeing and experiencing much of what these people would have seen and experienced. So that's kind of cool.
On the northern island of Ulvön, there's a fishing village there where the sea has receded, and it wasn't a steep drop in the coastline, rather it was a gradual drop in the coastline. And so now these fishing huts that you recognize as modern looking buildings, they're 50 meters from the water. And it used to be right on the water, and that was not more than about 200 years ago, 150 years ago. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff that you can actually see here. You can see geological time. You know, people think geological time is millions and millions of years, but it's not like that here. It's hundreds of years, or maybe even just a lifetime.
And the prehistory of Norrland is still in its infancy. We know actually very little about it, but people have always lived here.
The history of the people here is so connected to the way that the land has been shooting up out of the water basically for 11,000 years at a rate of at least 8 millimeters a year, and oftentimes much more.
It's most apparent or dramatic in what they call the High Coast area, but as I say, the land uplift has affected the whole of Norrland.
So that all of a sudden seemed like, well, you know, everyone knows that it's beautiful here, and everyone knows there's a lot of history here, but does anybody really understand how that fits together with the geology and everything? And it started to really seem like this is an interesting thing we could explore.
It's exciting, that's interesting, and we can contribute to understanding what it is to be human by looking at the prehistory of Norrland. We can actually contribute to our knowledge of what it is to be human in a changing world.